It is 0 hour 30 Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. The Israeli military says an airstrike in Gaza City was aimed at a building used by the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades. The group is linked to the Fatah movement of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. No deaths or injuries were reported. Earlier, Israeli warplanes attacked the empty Gaza office of Palestinian Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh, and Israeli troops killed 2 Palestinian gunmen at an airport in the southern Gaza Strip. Israeli forces have been deployed in Gaza in an effort to free a captured Israeli soldier. A Shiite Muslim rebel group, says it is responsible for attacks on coalition forces in Iraq. A Lebanese television station broadcast the recorded message from the group, calling itself the Muslim Resistance in Iraq. The message said the group aims to end the foreign occupation. The recording shows attacks against what appear to be coalition troops and tanks. In other news, Sunni Arab lawmakers are threatening to boycott the Iraqi parliament until kidnappers free a lawmaker seized Saturday in Baghdad. Iraqi police say a Shiite lawmaker survived a murder attempt when a bomb exploded near his vehicle in Baghdad. And Iraqi officials say at least 4 people died in violence in Baghdad and in the town of Rashad. Iraqi officials have released a list of their most wanted criminals. Iraq's national security advisors said the list is being released so that Iraqis can know their names. He urged other countries to return those listed to the Iraqi people for a fair trial. The list includes the first wife and oldest daughter of former President Saddam Hussein. First wife Sajida Karala Tulfa is believed to be living in Qatar. Daughter Ragad has taken a leading part in organizing her father's legal defense. Jordanian officials have said that Jordan's ruling family has already offered daughter Ragad safety in their country. Iraqi officials have not yet answered that claim. Opinion studies in Bolivia show that supporters of President Evo Morales have won about half of the seats on the special National Assembly that will rewrite the Constitution. But the movement toward socialism will not get the 2/3 majority necessary to have control of amending the Constitution. Mr. Morales had asked voters to choose 255 delegates to begin the new Constitution in August. The studies also show that voters in 5 of 9 Bolivian states rejected a measure that would give states greater freedom from the central government. Mr. Morales had urged voters to reject the proposal. Leaders in the oil and gas-rich state of Santa Cruz said the measure will keep energy profits in their area. Earlier, the head of the Organization of American States said voting in Bolivia was calm and normal. Mexicans have begun voting to choose new members of Congress, 5 governors, and a new leader to replace President Vicente Fox. Public opinion studies show a close contest for president between Democratic Revolutionary Party candidate Andrés Manuel López Obrador and conservative candidate Felipe Calderon. Mr. Calderon represents the National Action Party. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. African Union leaders have agreed to a United Nations request to extend their peacekeeping efforts until the end of the year in the Darfur area of Sudan. The African leaders had hoped that UN peacekeepers would take control at the end of September, but Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has opposed such a force. UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan met with the Sudanese leader during the final day of the AU talks in Gambia. After the meeting, Mr. Annan said he is sure that UN troops would one day be deployed in Darfur. The temporary Prime Minister of Somalia has denied reports that Ethiopian troops have entered the country. Ali Mohammed Gedi says there are no foreign troops in Somalia or in the town of Baidoa, where the temporary government has its headquarters. On Saturday, reports from people in a border town said Ethiopian troops were there, but Ethiopia denied the reports. 2 weeks ago, the Islamist leaders who control the Somalian capital, Mogadishu, accused Ethiopia of sending hundreds of troops into the country. Ethiopia said it only deployed troops along the border. The United States Space Agency again has postponed the launch of the Discovery space shuttle. NASA officials said the next chance for a launch from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida is Tuesday. Weather problems postponed the first planned launch of Discovery on Saturday. The launch of Discovery will begin the second space shuttle flight since the shuttle Columbia exploded 3 years ago. All 7 astronauts on Columbia were killed in the explosion during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Senators from both major American political parties have called for discussions soon about trials for suspected terrorists held at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Last week, the United States Supreme Court rejected President Bush's plan for military trials. The court said the prisoners at Guantanamo had rights under both American law and the international law called the Geneva Conventions. Mr. Bush has said there may be a way to have Congress make it legal to use military committees to try enemy fighters. American-led coalition forces have bombed suspected Taliban positions in southern Afghanistan. At least 8 rebels were killed. Hours earlier, rebels attacked a British base in Helmand province. 2 British soldiers and an Afghan civilian were killed. 4 coalition troops were wounded. Officials in Helmand say Afghan forces killed 12 Taliban fighters in the same area on Saturday. It is not clear if the rebels were involved in the attack on the British base. Briefly, here again is the major news. The Israeli military says an air attack in Gaza City was aimed at a building used by the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades. A Shiite Muslim rebel group says it is responsible for attacks on coalition forces in Iraq. And opinion studies in Bolivia show that supporters of President Morales have won about half of the seats on the special National Assembly that will rewrite the Constitution. That's the news in Special English. Jim Tedder